Hi everyone. It's been a while since I've done one of these videos, so I wanted to say thank you to everybody who has subscribed recently. It really means a lot to me to have people finding my chat helpful. For those of you who don't know me, I'm Lorna and you're watching Accidentally Awesome with ADHD, where we talk about all things neurospicy, ways you can help yourself, things that are difficult for us. And I'd love it if you could subscribe too. The button's down below. So let's get cracking on with today's video because I thought I had already recorded this and basically took a photo. Today's video is all about clutter. And as you can see behind me, this is not something that is a foreign thing to me. I definitely have clutter in my house, as pretty much every single person does. And clutter isn't usually a problem. It's just bits and pieces lying about that generally don't have a home. But if you are not tidying up your clutter and not dealing with the mess, then that clutter can build up. And when it builds up, it can become problematic. Now, the reason that us neurospicy people tend to have problems with clutter, especially those of us with ADHD, is because of our issues with executive functioning. Our executive functioning can leave us distracted. It can make it difficult for us to keep our attention on a specific project and see it from start to finish. We also find organising in itself can be quite a difficult thing for our brains to actually manage. And we are the queens and kings of procrastination. So if we're not motivated to do a task, we procrastinate and we put it off. And with things like clutter, where it's visual, this thing can tend to build up. And you can go through a circle of sort of resentment and annoyance at the mess. You can also completely ignore it, which is, another reason why it can build up. And with having the sort of brains that we do, we quite often find that we leave things sitting out as a reminder for us to do something. So you might have paperwork sitting out as a reminder to pay a bill, or it could be a school thing for your kids. It could be just a reminder to take your tablets in the morning if you have some sort of medication. Whatever it is, we're very visual people and we like to have our visual cues around us. We find things like tidying up and cleaning and things like that really, really boring as well. It doesn't give us a dopamine hit. It doesn't stimulate our brain. It is tedious. So there's another reason why we tend to just walk past that clutter and just give it the side eye and say, I'll deal with you tomorrow. The procrastination and overwhelm then starts to build up with that. Something else that can happen, which is actually quite funny at times, is when we do start to declutter, we might find something that just completely takes our imagination somewhere else. And then we forget to go back and declutter because we become so distracted by what we find that, that becomes the object of our attention and see you junk pile. Or we might find that we do clean it up, but we don't do it regularly enough to actually keep on top of it. So then again, it starts to build up. So as I say, everybody has clutter of some kind. It's generally not a problem until it becomes a problem. But how do you know that it is becoming a problem? Well, if you can't find the things that you're looking for, that's a problem. If your partner, your workmates, the people that you're living with are starting to find that it's an inconvenience to them, that's a problem. If you have to if you have to spend money to replace things that you can't find because they're lost somewhere in your house, that's becoming a problem. If clutter starts to become dangerous, so perhaps you have piles of things that could fall over, there's stuff on the floor that you could trip on, things too close to a heater or an oven which could cause a fire hazard, that's a serious issue and one that you need to deal with and address. But how do we do it? How do we keep this neurospicy brain of ours interested enough in this tedious task to get it done and stay on top of it? Well, lucky for you, I have been trying a few different things out and I wanted to share them with you. Some of these have worked for me, some of these haven't. So my favourite one at the moment is a 10-minute tidy, because 10 minutes is generally all I can be bothered to do with this sort of stuff. It's, like you say, tedious, it's boring. And one tip to deal with that is put on a podcast or blast some music, and that'll get you up and moving and excited or distracted from the boring task that you're doing if it's a podcast, because you're listening to that and the tidying is a secondary thing. And then just go for it. Do 10 minutes. So 10 minutes is what, 3 or 4 songs? You can do that. And don't try and do one full room. Just do one little area or even part of an area. So for me, our kitchen table is always a dumping ground. The kids just dump everything on it. So if I can just blast some music for 10 minutes and deal with that, quite often it's done in that time. And this is where time blindness comes into the problem as well, because we overestimate or underestimate the time it'll take us to do something. But generally speaking, a small area like a coffee table or a kitchen table, unless you've got a massive one, that is a 10 to 15 minute job. So you can get that done, out of the way, and you're like, yes, you get the dopamine hit from finishing it. The next one I like to do as well, and I do both of these at the moment, is a 10-minute tidy. Sorry, I've done the 10-minute tidy. Pick up 10. And I'm not sure why 10 is stuck in my head at the moment, but that's the way it goes. So yeah, if you're wandering or going from, like, say, your living room to your kitchen, or from your desk to somewhere else, just look for things that are out of place. Pick them up, put them away. And you can do things like count a pair of shoes as 2, because there's 2 shoes. A pile of magazines could be however many's in the pile. So you can see how that 10 or 15 or 20 or 50 or 100 things can easily build up. And it's almost like a bit of a game that you play with yourself. And I find the more that I do this, the more that I am doing this. And it also means that you don't need to sit and think about, oh, I have to clean that coffee table, or, oh, I need to deal with the wardrobe and pick up all of those clothes. You're just doing it when you have that little burst of energy and attention to actually do that. Again, if you feel like doing, like, say, 50 or 100, whack on that music, stick on that podcast, and do a quick zoom round. You can even just take a bin liner with you and just pick up rubbish. I've done this in the kids' playroom where I've not tidied. I've just gone up and picked up drawings and bits of paper and, the stuff that kids leave lying about, like rubbish little toys or things that have broken. And it's amazing what you can pick up and get rid of, and the difference that makes in your home. The next solution I have found does not work for me. I have tried this, but it might work for you. Is have a dumping basket at problem areas. And basically you just put your stuff in the dumping basket and then go through it. I put things in the dumping basket and then just shove it off to the side and don't bother with it, thinking that there's some kind of magical black hole that will either make it disappear or put it away. So just be careful with that one. If you try a dumping basket, you have to deal with the basket at least once a week. If there's a specific problem area, say you're coming in and everybody just leaves their shoes at the door, that can be tidied up with a large basket or a shoe rack, and then everybody just throws their shoes into one spot. Or if you find that you tend to just leave your clothes lying in your bathroom and then go to bed, or you leave them in the bedroom and don't put them where the hamper is for the laundry, get an extra hamper and put it somewhere, wherever it is needs to be. For a while, my daughter was getting changed at the top of the stairs, I have no idea why she wanted to do this, but that's what she did. So instead of just having a little pile of small people clothes, I bought an extra hamper. I left it at the top of the stairs and I could just flick her clothes into it, or she would put her clothes into it. And it's a quick and easy solution. Same with things like TV remotes and game controllers. You know, these days you have so many remotes for so many things. And a small basket, I'm not talking a big one, a small basket, even smaller than a shoebox, perfect size just to dump all the remotes into, keep them in one place for a start, and then you're not having to hunt for them. The last thing I was going to also say is, and this is not something that everybody would be comfortable with, but if you have a bigger area that you actually want to tackle, you can ask a friend to help. This is a tricky one because sometimes if our clutter's that bad, we don't want people in our house seeing what that is. We can feel ashamed, we can feel embarrassed. And, you know, it's one of the few things that I do feel ashamed about as far as my ADHD tendencies go. I don't like the fact that my house is a mess. Most of my friends don't care, they understand, but I care. You know, I'm like, why can't I keep it as tidy as them? Blah, blah, blah. And this is a big point of embarrassment for me. But sometimes you've got to swallow that pride. And I wanted to get my garage tidied out. So a friend had been offering her help for a while. And I just said to her, look, can you? Can you come and help me do this? It's a big job. I need help moving a few things. She was great, absolutely delighted to come and help me. It took an hour. And our garage was completely rearranged, completely tidied out. It was far more functional and useful and easier to keep tidy. And it has stayed like that for about 4 or 5 months now, which amazed me. So it just goes to show, and I'm not doing much in it. It just needed a good tidy up. So if you can ask a friend to help, then that's great. And another one, as far as friends go, is if you've got a friend that's happy just to sit at your table or at the sofa and have a chat, you can use that as body doubling and just say, I'm just going to tidy up a bit while you're here. And you can just go round and tidy the area that you're at because you've got company. It distracts you from the boring task. And that's one of the issues with clutter. We don't want to deal with it because it's boring. So that can be a good way of handling it too. Now, obviously, there's so many more things out there that you can do as far as clutter goes and getting rid of it and tidying it up. There's professional people out there that can help you. But I'd be really, really interested to find out how you attack your clutter. Excuse me, just need a wee drink here. How you attack your clutter if you have, say, days of the week that you do certain tasks. If you're like me and you do a little 10-minute tidy, or if you use the bins, the containers, you know, as a dumping ground, does that work for you? Or if you've got other things that you do that you've maybe have not mentioned at all, I'd really like to hear from it. And if you find that this is useful for you, I'd like to hear about that too. So please leave some details in the comments, and I look forward to speaking to you again soon. Bye bye.